Welcome, everyone, to the NFT Nation podcast, the most relatable and reliable NFT and crypto podcast in the nation. Today, I am blessed to be joined with Calvin Cooper, co-founder and CEO of Tokr Labs, which is the company behind the Rhove App. Tokr Labs is building public markets for private assets on Solana. Their newly launched Rhove App is the Coinbase for real estate. They just received SEC qualification as well. Now anyone can invest for as little as $1. So with that out of the way, I would like to welcome Calvin and give him the floor and let him introduce himself. How's it going, Calvin?
Yo, thanks for the time. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy you're here and happy to learn more not only about you, but about your company and the projects you were building. So if you wouldn't mind, would you kind of give the audience a brief summary of kind of who you are and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're building Tokr Labs. Essentially, it's art with money. I love finance and economics. It's really what has allowed humans around the world to achieve a standard of living that has never been conceived of. And so this is like our canvas, and together we can paint a better world. And so Tokr Labs is building a public market for private assets, specifically real estate. And why real estate? Well, real estate is where we live. It's where we raise our families, where we work, where we play. And the problem is that ownership in our communities is getting further out of reach. The average millennial and Gen Z has no net real estate wealth. It's getting harder to buy a home. And meanwhile, many of us can look out our windows and see cranes up and the cities being built around us, which is wonderful. But it would be even better if we could also participate and own our cities. And so that's the core problem we're solving.
Yeah, awesome. I'm really looking forward to what your company is building, and I really think it's going to be very innovative for especially the future of real estate investing. But I think a lot of the audience wants to know about kind of what did you do before crypto? How did you get into it, and how did you get to where you are now?
Oh man, that's a journey. I'd say in 2010, as a college dropout, working on a startup that didn't work, and I was basically homeless, and found my way back into school. I've always been studious, and so I get basically straight A's, and was always a couple years ahead of math. But when I got back into school, I was even more on fire and loaded up my plate with publishing research. And there's something really special to me about observing things in the world, getting access to data, having a hypothesis, testing that, drawing conclusions, but then executing it. And so venture capital was a way to do that, to come up with a thesis, but not just have a thesis on how the world is and should be, but to be able to put capital against that and back founders. And I was at a small fund. I had to work my way to get there, just working nights and weekends on top of a day job to get a shot, to get an adventure. So understand, this was my dream job. I loved working with founders. I was at a small fund in the Midwest. I helped raise the second fund. That's really how I solidified my job, is a bet with the founders. Like, if I don't raise money for the fund, then fire me. And I did, and they were kind enough to take me under their wings, teach me what they knew. And then I was starting to come up with a point of view on my own. And one of the markets that I was most obsessed with was smart cities landscape, and how we build cities that help facilitate a better quality of life for everyone using technology. And I was really obsessed with fintech and blockchain technologies. And so the convergence of those market maps really is what we're building today. And I was really compelled to work on real estate because, there's a whole family history there, a chip on my shoulder about it. My mom lost her house in the last recession. And so I just was so obsessed. When I was getting promoted to partner, I quit the firm and went off on my own, and pulled together a team of co-founders and started going after this with pretty much no money. We ran out at some point, but then we're able to raise our seed round. So like that's my story. I was just obsessed with this market map and this problem that needs to be solved, and building a product that I want to use.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really enjoy your kind of come to where you are now story, if that makes sense. You're kind of not really upbringing, but your upbringing in the business world. You could say it's pretty admirable to see your kind of dedication to this project and in keeping it alive as any means possible, if that makes sense. Because the final kind of breakthrough of this project can be something really great, and I'm really excited for the future of it. But for the audience that's new to Tokr Labs and wants to learn more, can you kind of give the breakdown of, you mentioned it, how it started and how kind of you kept it alive, but can you kind of give a breakdown of how Tokr came to be and what really is Tokr Labs?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we were first pursuing this problem, it was under the theme of community-owned real estate powered by blockchain technology. And this was like 2018. And so we were taking execution risks. You know, I'm a product founder now, but before that, didn't really have experience building products. And we were taking, it was a new team. So that's execution risk. Market risk, you have to find product market fit. Technology doesn't solve for business model innovation necessarily, or help you aggregate supply and demand. And you can use technology, but you also have to build the right user experience. So there's the market risk, really, launching a product into the market. And then there was technology risk, like Solana didn't exist. Smart contract technology was pretty nascent. And so we had to pick one. We can't take all the risks at once. And so we started to build fintech solutions that we could launch into the market that we wanted to ultimately transform, to really learn on the consumer side how to build user experiences that are easy to engage with, and on the supply side, the owner side, to understand how can we get access to the best deals and also build a pipeline of relationships nationally. And so, you know, to summarize, we decided to build our use case first and then the protocol second. And so we started with Rhove. And most people in this space, as you know, start with the protocol first. And they built this technology, often really fascinating, but then it's a solution in search of a problem, and they ultimately struggle to find product market fit. And so we chose the opposite direction, with building the Rhove App first and then the Tokr protocol next.
Yeah, that makes perfect. I kind of like that. It's a pretty simple understanding of what Tokr Labs is. And can you kind of explain more of what like Tokr Labs is aiming to solve? I know you kind of just pretty much explained like where Tokr came from and how it's kind of grown, but can you kind of reiterate what the main problem that Tokr Labs is solving?
Yeah, let's walk through it. So every the commercial real estate asset is has a ledger, right? It's called its cap table, the ledger of its investors and who has the right to the equity and the cash flows, right? And then there's contracts, there's subscription agreement, and other agreements that outline the rights. And so today, when you look at an apartment building or an office building, most of the places we interact with, property developers, when they're financing it or capitalizing it, they're raising equity from investors. They're called LPs, limited partners. Mm-hmm. And those are typically family offices, high net worth individuals, people who make a couple $100,000 a year in income or have over $1 million in net worth. These are called accredited investors. And by law, non-accredited investors can't participate unless you go through a long process. So anyway, that's how real estate's financed around us. Rich people own it, and everybody else gets to interact with it and pay rent. And so the cap table, which is a ledger, is really dumb, right? It's in a spreadsheet, or it's in a cap table management software but it's not interoperable or composable or visible to people around the world. Computers can't interact with it. So there's a limited market. Therefore, equity in real estate is illiquid. It's illiquid. People can't sell it, their fractional equity interests easily. And if you're a non-accredited investor, like most of us, you don't have access at all. You can't invest if you wanted to. And there are crowdfunding sites, but you get adverse selection. It's usually the people who were desperate to raise money who go to those sites. And so that's the problem, right? The opportunity is to change that, what you call like a 100x better cap table, which is programmable, composable, interoperable. It's something that anybody can interact with, or any developer could, like software engineer. And the outcome of that technology would be that anybody could bid and invest in real estate with $1.
Yeah.
And it would be liquid and available to everybody in the world.
And that would be perfect. So yeah, it's really cool. I like how Tokr Labs is kind of going at that full force to solve that problem and getting the public and kind of the everyday man to be able to invest in real estate, because it kind of coincides with this goal of the podcast of getting everyone, giving all the relatable information out there to the everyday Joe, because a lot of things are kept away from everyday people, and getting information as well as investment opportunities to the everyday Joe is kind of the way we build wealth, kind of for everyone equally. And kind of to keep on the same topic of Tokr Labs and how they develop, how Tokr Labs develops certain applications and stuff like that, can you kind of talk about why you all chose to build on the Solana blockchain over others?
Yeah, absolutely. So we built a few proofs of concept on Ethereum. So first, we think about the strategy high level. We've compartmentalized for compliance. So the Rhove App is fully compliant. We just received SEC qualification. When you download it, it feels very CeFi or TradFi, what you're used to, like Coinbase. It's not like tokenized or crypto or blockchain based yet. We are integrating with Web3, and you will have self-custody Solana accounts, but so anyway, you've got the Rhove App, and done right, when we succeed, Rhove would be like our iTunes, and when we open source as much of our technology as possible, other people could build Spotify or other apps that we don't even know what could exist. And so there's that. So we believe, my point of view is that open source technology is way more powerful than closed source technology. And I want to enable infinite freedom and opportunity in the world. And now more than ever, after building a TradFi app, you wouldn't even believe how hard it is to simulate the ease of use. Like the ACH rails, our traditional banking system is trash. It only feels like it works well because companies abstract away all of the inefficiency from users, but that comes at a cost, right? Yeah. And so you have companies that collect rent, and then there's the opportunity for liquidity. So there's open source technology. So you want to build using blockchain technology for a myriad of reasons. But then there's the issue of, if you're going to build a public market for private assets, and you're going to build the NASDAQ of the future, you can't have transaction costs that are 10 cents even. Certainly couldn't be $1 or $100. Right?
Yeah, especially with kind of the rise of commission-free trading and stuff like that. You got to be able to compete in the market with low fees and stuff. So that completely makes sense.
Right, and then there's like derivative markets and all these things that enable liquidity in the traditional financial system. And if you're going to create a new financial system, it needs to be not just 1x better, it needs to be 10x better. But it certainly can't be worse, right? And so when you're building on Ethereum, there's a lot. I believe the future of financial markets will be built on Solana. And so we built on Ethereum first as a proof of concept, and did some things like integrate MetaMask and Aave into the Rhove App so you could borrow against crypto to invest in real estate. And we just did that for our R&D. We learned by building. But now, as we go to market, we're building on Solana.
Yeah, awesome. I completely support the movement towards Solana, because since this podcast is also supposed to be relatable, just like I mentioned earlier, another reason why we support Solana here is because it is so much cheaper to use, and the everyday Joe can kind of afford to use Solana other than Ethereum, which sometimes if the transactions are a bit slow, the transaction kind of volume is way too high on Ethereum, you can end up paying hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just in gas. So yeah, I completely, it's pretty admirable for you all to go on Solana and start building. But to talk about what
there's a joke. I saw this on Twitter. Solana is for the poor. And I love that. So I'm like, Solana's for the poor, and so are we. That's why we're building on Solana.
Yeah. And that, like, honestly, it's bad to say that you want the poor in crypto if you use poor in like kind of quotation marks, because when you say poor in crypto, you're just talking about the everyday Joe, just the everyday person that wants to put maybe 5% of their portfolio in crypto, expand, start investing in real estate, which you all are working on, and stuff like that, which really is going to make Solana kind of the blockchain of the future, in my opinion. But to talk more about what Tokr Labs is building and kind of the reason we are here, I mentioned it in the intro about what Rhove is and how it's kind of becoming the Coinbase for real estate and has the potential to be a major mover for the future of real estate investing. But can you kind of give a basic introduction of what Rhove is, why the audience should think about real estate investing via Rhove, and everything that has to do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. At a high level, there's a few phases. Phase 1 is CeFi, phase 2 is Web3, and open finance, right, or DeFi. And so Rhove is that first phase. It's the tip of the iceberg. And so it allows people around the world to onboard really easily with the user experience that they're used to. And under the hood, man, there's a myriad of technologies and APIs and intermediaries. And so we're starting to integrate then with Web3 in the next phase. And so, without going too into the weeds, Rhove is like Coinbase. You can download it, invest as little as $1 in your own fractional piece of real estate, and you can follow property owners in your city or around the world, invest based on the theme, and vote with your dollars on how you want to see our cities develop. And the benefit to investing in real estate is that these are cash flowing assets typically. And so it's a way to earn passive income. But more than finance, and the reason why I believe in investing in individual real estate assets specifically, is that it's a way to belong, and it's a way to realign incentives in our cities so that more people care and maybe show up, so that the YIMBYs drown out the NIMBYs in zoning meetings, and maybe we get more supply and start fixing the housing challenges we have.
Yeah, it's kind of like you can't make real world assets fully decentralized, but it's kind of like expanding or honestly just making real estate investing more decentralized in like kind of the real world aspect, because more and more people will have a say, and it's not just 3 rich dudes inside the city that's like, let's build this, let's make rent this price. It's really just giving power to the people. So I really appreciate all the work you all have been doing, especially with the Rhove App. I'm really positive and have a lot of kind of just good vibes heading toward Rhove's way, if that makes sense. I'm excited for what the future has.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. But talking about the future of Rhove and why you all will continue to build in the positive direction. If any of the audience is maybe looking to start investing in Rhove or in real estate using Rhove, how could they go about that?
Download the Rhove App, and it's in the Apple App Store, or you can go to rhove.com, RHOVE.com. And in the show notes, there's going to be a referral code. So if you use it, you'll get a $5 credit, which you can use to invest. And so when you download it, it's pretty straightforward. If you use the invite code, you'll be among the first people to use the app. We'll do a much wider release of the app this summer, but right now it's invite only. And as an audience of this podcast, you're invited.
Exactly. Just another perk of being a NFT Nation fan, you could say. But yes, I will have the link in the show notes, and I will also post it on Twitter when this episode goes live. So feel free to use that to invest into Rhove Real Estate. I use Rhove, and I think it's a great service, especially a great way to diversify your investment portfolio. But
so you want to talk NFTs?
Oh, hell yeah. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, I thought that might be a good time, while the audience is downloading the app. Something that maybe you and I didn't even talk about before the show started. So here's a plug. Yeah. In the rewards tab, you can earn badges in the Rhove app. And in a few weeks, when we integrate with Web3 Auth and you get a Solana account in the background automatically, your NFT badges are going to be mintable. Like the badges will be mintable as NFTs.
That's awesome. We love the NFT aspect here, especially with Solana and everything. I'm a big proponent of Solana NFTs. I think they have a lot of positive. They have a positive future ahead of them. But I will say, go ahead.
I mean, and badges, they say something, right? They mean something. It means I've done something, I'm part of something, or I made an achievement. And to be able to take ownership of that outside of our app, I think it's cool. We're going to start dropping limited edition NFTs in the app as well. And that's just a fun thing we're doing because we're just DJs and all of us have NFTs. But there's a much more important roadmap for NFTs and the role they play in real estate and managing cap tables. And so that's something that Tokr Labs is building out. Mm-hmm. And it's the project for which we were one of the winners of Solana Riptide.
Could you kind of talk more about that? Because I'm sure my audience is very interested to know about you all. Because winning Solana Riptide is a big honor. Can you kind of talk more about that?
Yeah, we were one of the winners of their global hackathon, and we built a proof of concept in 30 days. And this is part of our longer term roadmap. So today in the app, you're not tokenizing real estate. And it's important to understand before I dive in that tokenizing real estate does not make real estate more valuable intrinsically. It doesn't. But backing crypto assets or tokens with real estate can make tokens more valuable. So tokenizing real estate doesn't make real estate more valuable, but backing tokens with real estate make tokens more valuable. And why are tokens valuable? One reason why crypto assets are valuable, or a few reasons, is because they're interoperable, they're programmable, they're composable, right? And so when you bring that interoperability, programmability, composability to real estate, you're going to enable so much more creativity in finance. We can invent new types of 30-year mortgage. It's crazy. Who lives in the same place for 30 years? And so so that's the core, philosophy here. And then in terms of the project, what we did was, just as a proof of concept, we forked realms, we formed a DAO. The DAO formed an LLC in Wyoming legally, a limited liability company. And that LLC, which was owned by the DAO, then formed an LLC in Ohio, and that LLC acquired a $10,000 plot of land. Okay, so now the DAO owns real estate, and that LLC owns one piece of property. And so the LLC is now basically a proxy for the property. And so we then minted ownership of the LLC or the property as an NFT on Solana. And in the metadata of that NFT, you can see like where the property is located, its lat launch. There's on IPFS, there's like a links to the docs, like articles of organization, the title, and things like that. So then if the DAO were to sell the NFT, then by virtue of purchasing it, the buyer and seller are automatically signing in the background what's called an assignment of membership interest agreement, which means by selling the NFT, you're transferring the LLC, which you can do on chain. It's typically done on DocuSign today. And so we then basically demonstrated how one would purchase a property as a DAO, mint an NFT, and legally transfer land by transferring the NFT.
That's so awesome. That has me so bullish on the future of just like kind of Web3 applications as a whole. Not only just DAOs and NFTs, but just everything. Because if you're like it's a possibility to change the entire real estate market, just like you said earlier. And I think it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but in the coming near future, there's definitely a possibility for a big disturbance in how we kind of function as do real estate as a whole. So I'm pretty excited for what the future has to hold.
Oh yeah, we are too. So that's why we're here, man. It's a multi-year roadmap. But we know where we're going.
Exactly. So obviously, Calvin, I know you're very busy and definitely have a bunch of investor meetings ahead of you, and I really want to thank you for opening your schedule to come and talk to me today and kind of let the audience know all about Rhove. But before we head out here, I kind of want to give you the floor again to kind of let the audience know where to find Rhove again and kind of just be able to tell them whatever you would like. So go right ahead.
Oh yeah, head to Rhove.com, RHOVE.com. Download the app, start investing today. But also join our Discord if you're a DJ and wants to be, more aware of our whole roadmap. Join our Discord. There's a link on our site. We'd love to talk to you there.
Yeah, awesome. Not only if you are looking to use Rhove to begin your real estate investing journey, I will have my referral link in this episode description, and it is also on my link tree. So if you want to go there, that's going to be on all of my social medias. And talking about social medias, feel free to follow the NFT Nation podcast on all of our social medias. It is at NFT_Nation_podcast on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. But Calvin, I actually have one more question for you, and I asked it to every guest I have. And that is, if you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
One superpower? What would it be? Oh man, I don't even know.
You'd be surprised how many guests it gets off guard.
Geesh, I don't know. No sleep, man. If I didn't need any sleep, that'd be great.
Your Twitter following would be insane. You'd be on Twitter 24/7.
Oh man,
would never have to leave.
Sleep now, man. I'm almost there. So yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I agree. Sleep sometimes feels like, even though it feels good to take like a 10-hour dirt nap every now and then, sometimes you're like, damn, I'm not gonna be able to get anything done because I gotta sleep. But yeah, I want to thank you again for coming on today. I want to thank the audience for listening to this podcast. You all are the whole reason Calvin and I are here today. But also, if you want to support us, obviously, like I said, follow our social medias. Send us a message if you have any comments to make. But also, share this episode with a friend, show them the future of real estate investing. Word of mouth advertising really helps us grow here. And also rate this podcast 5 stars on Spotify. It helps Spotify know that even though we are a small podcast, people enjoy us and we are getting the right information out there. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Calvin, do you want to say anything before we head out here?
Nah, thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Looking forward to engaging with you in Discord.
Yeah, awesome. See you guys.